Accessibility in gaming is a controversial issue that has been going on in the years, well, since gaming's inception, I guess, but it's recently ramped up a little bit with the release of Demon's Souls on PlayStation 5. I scrolled down the responses to this tweet specifically and was slack-jawed at what I saw. The collective of people demanding difficulty settings who, also, shockingly enough, probably never played the damn game to begin with. It was strange, like peering into a dimension populated exclusively by people who enjoy the taste of window glass. This really got me thinking, as I tend to be good at, and I've come up with an interesting comparison in the form of Jedi Fallen Order, the newest Star Wars set third-person action game developed by Respawn Entertainment, who at this point have rightfully earned the lucrative title of surprisingly not made up of cunts or idiots. Oddly enough, not many developers can actually hold this title, and even fewer hold that title while being softly smothered by the overbearing EA pillow that smells suspiciously like banknotes. Now you might be thinking, wait, Scowl, you absolute cretinous lard, Fallen Order did have difficulty settings. And you'd be right, you alarmingly rude person. But that actually helps my analogy, so just follow along with me here. For a quick summary, you play as Cal Kestis, who was training as a Jedi Padawan before Order 66 came around and the Jedi were reduced to nothing more than target practice for the Rave laser-blasting clone army. Despite having had little training in the Force and combat, Cal escaped and found work on another planet, where he grew up, while keeping his Jedi identity lower key than a suspicious dry cough literally anywhere in the world throughout 2020. Things change when he uses the Force to stop a friend becoming a dark red stain on the side of an Empire ship following an accident, and Cal is forced to evade the Empire and begin his journey to becoming a competent Jedi. I'm not going to get bogged down in the specific details of Fallen Order, I just wanted to specifically bring up the fact that the game has difficulty settings. Let me just clarify what I mean. The game is about a Jedi Padawan who is forced into reliving his training and stepping up to become a Jedi based on what he learned years ago and the trials he experiences in the present. Because he was a child when Order 66 happened and he hasn't done any training for some years, he's naturally rusty and spends most of the game relearning the basic techniques he learned in his training. This kind of setting lends itself to a Dark Souls style difficulty due to the story establishing these facts. Cal wouldn't be a badass Jedi Padawan like Obi-Wan Kenobi in The Phantom Menace because that was the Jedi at their peak and Kenobi received a lot of training, much more than Cal at least. Therefore Cal's lack of experience would make the trials he goes through much harder because of his lack of experience and training, making him have to work harder to overcome them. By extension, the player should have to work harder and play better in order to progress through the game, and they will get better as they play more, as does Cal. The player and Cal both go on this journey of progression as a Jedi together, making getting through the story so much more satisfying. However, by including difficulty settings, the developers have opened up the game in terms of accessibility, yes, but they've also made it so that if you play on easy mode, you can basically just teabag over any enemy you encounter if you've even half a brain for third-person combat. This compromises the game as a whole because you don't feel as fulfilled. You don't feel like you've earned the progression you've made because the game was made easier by the inclusion of different difficulty levels. Cal's progress means less because it was easier. Yes, technically more people can play the game through to the end, but in doing that, the game was fundamentally compromised by making it more accessible. This is something these Twitter people specifically need to understand. And Twitter as a whole, but let's not get into that here. Including a difficulty setting in any Souls game would change the experience at a fundamental level. It would not be the same game if difficulty settings were included. It just wouldn't be. The fact that Soulsborne games exist as a universal experience is what makes them so unique and beloved amongst today's AAA gaming market. I'm not shitting on Fallen Order, don't get me wrong, that game is still good, but the comparisons to Dark Souls have always confused me. Because with the inclusion of higher and lower standards of difficulty, Fallen Order and, say, Demon's Souls are basically entirely different games, even though many people compare Fallen Order to the Souls series. I guess what I'm saying to summarize is I'm glad Bluepoint didn't compromise the original vision of FromSoft by including different difficulty settings for Demon's Souls PlayStation 5, because not only does it make these people re-up in anger, which is always fun to watch, but because doing that would make it not Demon's Souls. It would be just like pretty much every other AAA third-person game on the market. More accessible, but at the cost of a soul and spirit to separate it from the rest of the pack. So props to you, Bluepoint. I mean, I'm skint, so the next console generation will have to wait for me to experience it. But the first thing I play for that generation will definitely be Demon's Souls.